Hey everyone, it's Don with Don's Field of Dreams Cards, coming to you with episode number 5, Negro League players who played in the major leagues. Today I'm highlighting Alphonse Eugene Smith, better known as Al Smith. And as you can see in the beginning of this video, he had a pretty good run of cards. And I just feature the Topps and Bowman cards of all these guys. I believe he might have had some post-serial cards, but he had a straight run from 54 to 64 of Topps cards, and he had a 1955 Bowman card in the set. So Al was born on February 7th, 1928, and as a kid his nickname was Fuzzy. And as you'll see, it's kind of what I like about researching these guys. They all have nicknames and cool stories behind it, or a story behind it. And his nickname was Fuzzy because he was the first of his group to grow a beard. He was born in Kirkwood, Missouri, and attended Douglas High School in Webster Groves. And as a high school star in St. Louis, he scored 10 touchdowns in a football game and was a Golden Gloves boxing championship. In his major league career, he had a lifetime .272 batting average, 1,458 hits, 164 home runs, and 676 RBIs, and a .959 fielding average. He played 6 different positions through his 12-year career and was a 3-time All-Star, 1955 and twice in 1960, because for a 4 or 5 year period they played 2 All-Star games in the same year, and he had made both of those All-Star games in 1960. So when Smith joined the Negro Leagues in 1946, he was so young that his mom had to sign his contract with the Cleveland Buckeyes. He was 19 years old in 1947. Now, by today's standard, that might not be considered so young, but in 1947, it apparently was. So in the Negro Leagues, he was top 10 in the league with a .347 batting average and led everybody with a 1.065 OPS. His team went to the Negro World Series in 1947, and Smith had a walk-off hit in Game 2. And the Buckeyes ended up losing the series to the New York Cubans. So in the summer of 1948, he caught the eye of Cleveland Indian scout Laddie Playsick, who had been dispatched to the league park to evaluate pitcher Sam Toothpick Jones. Again, another nickname, and a player that I will be featuring on future episodes. So on July 11th, Playsick signed both Jones and Smith to major league contracts. Spent some time in the minor leagues, and I'm not going to go through all those stats, but in 1957, Al Smith was ranked as one of the American League's best players. His numbers included 22 home runs, 77 RBIs, and 123 runs scored, and a later figure leading the league. He earned his first trip to the All-Star game, like I said, in 1955, and after the season, he finished third in the MVP balloting behind Hall of Famers Yogi Berra and Al Kaline, but he finished ahead of Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle. So his numbers fell off substantially in the next year, 1956, as the Indians won 88 games and finished well behind the Yankees. And his offense also declined through 1997, .247 batting average, and the Indians fell into the second division. So Smith was upset that the new manager, Kirby Farrell, informed him he was moving to third base. And in 1948, Al was upset enough to ask for a trade, and the Indians honored that request. So on December 4th, 1957, Smith and Hall of Famer Early Wynn were sent to the White Sox for Minnie Minoso, another Hall of Famer, and Fred Hatfield. The White Sox fans weren't too crazy about this trade because they lost their longtime favorite Minnie Minoso, and they took their frustrations out on Smith, who was booed continuously throughout the season and the next. So Bill Veeck, the White Sox owner at the time, was trying to help Al, and he had an Al Smith night on August 26, 1959 against the Red Sox. So anyone who had the last name Smith spelled S-M-Y-T-H-E, maybe that's Smythe, Schmidt, or Smith, S-M-I-T-H-E, were admitted free and given a button of red. I'm a Smith, and I'm for Al. Smith responded with a forgettable game, going 1 for 4 with a strikeout and dropped a 7th inning fly ball that led to a couple of earned runs on the way to 7-6 loss. So Veeck's plan kind of backfired that night. So going back to the beginning of the video, you'll see in the photos there's a picture of Al Smith with a liquid being dumped on his head, which is a beer. And when I initially saw that picture, I thought it was probably a racial move. Someone had dumped a beer on him. I don't know a lot about these guys until I researched them. So not only am I hoping to teach some of you guys, I'm teaching myself every time I make one of these videos. I do research and I learn about these players. I don't know much about them beforehand. But it turns out that was not the case. And I'll go through it a little bit here, what actually happened that day. So in the first game of the World Series that year, the White Sox had beat the Dodgers 11-0 behind early win in the first game. The second game, they also lost. But this is a game that has forever been remembered for Al Smith's embarrassing beer bath. A single incident that seemed to kind of set the tone for the White Sox frustrations throughout the Fall Classic. And in the fifth inning, Smith drifted back to the Comiskey Park's left field fence in pursuit of Charlie Neal's deep drive. And as Smith watched the ball disappear in the stands, a fan named Melvin Peel, sitting in the first row, knocked over his beer and thoroughly drenched the startled left fielder. It hit the bill of my cap and came down the side of my face, Smith recalled. It was in my nose and everywhere. At first, I thought the guy dumped it on purpose, but the umpire told me he just flipped it over to get the ball. I wouldn't have caught the ball anyhow. It made the third row. Smith kept a blow-up of the famous photo in his Chicago home and once jokingly remarked that he had signed copies of the picture 200,000 times. In a 2000 interview, Peel, a motor oil company executive, said he was sitting next to his wife and his boss's wife, along with a group of his company's top salesmen. In the excitement of the moment, Peel tried to catch the ball. He claimed so it wouldn't hit my boss's wife. I'm sure the true story is he really wanted the ball, but that's how it was reported. The incident was captured by Chicago Tribune photographer Ray Gora, stationed near the third base dugout with a new camera developed to shoot rocket launches from Cape Canaveral. And the camera was equipped with a 70mm lens. And every picture it took looked like a close-up. And Gora's camera captured the mishap, an 8-part sequence that was featured in newspapers nationwide the next day. Al Smith had involuntarily played a memorable role in World Series history. If you go Google this picture, there's the full sequence I'm talking about that I haven't shown here. So with the return of Minnie Minoso to the White Sox that year, Smith willingly moved to right field so that fan favorite Minoso could play left. And in '61, following the 1960 year that he had made the All-Star game twice, he continued his resurgence and hit 28 homers, a new career high. But Veeck had sold the team to John Allen, and Smith ran into trouble with new general manager Ed Short. And according to White Sox historian Richard Lindbergh, Smith balked at yet another proposed move to third base. It was also upset when they asked him to work as an off-season ticket salesman for the ball club. So these ill feelings eventually resulted in a trade to Baltimore on January 14, 1963. Smith and Hall of Famer Louis Aparicio to the Orioles for Hall of Famer Hoyt Wilhelm, Dave Nicholson, Peter Ward, and Ron Hansen. So it seemed like Al Smith had a little bit of history of being traded with a Hall of Famer for a Hall of Famer and some other players. After one season in Baltimore, Smith was traded back to the Indians, his original team, but was released on August 5th, 1964, with a 162 batting average in 61 games. And he was picked up as a free agent shortly afterwards by the Red Sox, but he still didn't hit, and he played his last game in the majors October 4th, 1964. Al Smith died on January 5th, 2002 at St. Margaret's Mary Hospital in Hammond, Indiana. He was 73 and succumbed to cardiac arrest after arterial surgery. Author Gary Livacore is quoted as saying, "White Sox fans will always be grateful to Al Smith for his contributions to the pennant-winning team in 1955, but he's also fondly remembered in Cleveland. In 1993, he was enshrined in the Ohio Baseball Hall of Fame, and in 2001 was honored as one of the 100 greatest Indians of all time. A fine ball player and a dedicated husband and father, Al Smith deserves a better fate than to be remembered simply by being focused and remembered for being doused by beer." So as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I thank you for watching my video, and I'll talk to you soon.